So back in 2020, Jimmy Butler decided to join the Miami Heat, departing from the Philadelphia 76ers, because he wanted to change the scenery and felt like being on the Heat would eventually become his home. And many media outlets and many fans questioned this move that Jimmy Butler decided to do, and many said that leaving this Philadelphia 76ers would be a flat-out mistake since the Heat haven't been in title contention since LeBron James left. Well, it turns out that very same season, his first year on the Heat, he managed to lead them to the NBA Finals and was flat out in some instances just outplaying arguably the best player to ever play in the NBA. So going into the next season, the Miami Heat had very high expectations to be a team right back in title contention, but unfortunately it just didn't happen, and Jimmy Butler in the playoffs against the Bucks put out an absolute stinker. I know many people have heard this a million times, but it is a fact that Jimmy Butler got outscored in a series by a role player named Bryn Forbes. And this is where the narrative started to shift right back against Jimmy Butler, because people now started to believe that bubble run that Miami Heat had and the performances that Jimmy Butler was displaying was merely just a fluke. And you had people who thought Jimmy Butler was close to being a top 10 player who now think he's no better than Pascal Siakam or even Chris Middleton. Now, fast forward a year, now Jimmy Butler once again has led the Miami Heat to another conference finals appearance, beating the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games. And in merely just 2 out of the 3 years he's been on the Heat, he's already led them to 2 conference finals appearances. Jimmy Butler is playing completely out of his mind this postseason. And in this video, I want to talk about how he's been able to play so well and why I believe once again Jimmy Butler is shifting the narrative back on his side. So before we get into it, make sure you guys like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to keep you guys posted, and let's get right into it. So first, I do want to start the video talking about one thing, and that is I've been very critical about Jimmy Butler all regular season for his scoring. And we all know Jimmy Butler is still a very good scorer, but in some respects, I believe that he had regressed since the bubble. But so far this postseason, not only has Jimmy Butler elevated his overall game, he has dramatically elevated his scoring production so far in these playoffs, and it is something that has shocked me a little bit. For the playoffs, Jimmy Butler is averaging 28.7 points, 7.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 2.1 steals, and is shooting 52.5% from the field, 36.4% from 3, and is shooting 80% from the free throw line, and that all accumulates to a 61.7% true shooting, and has already had 2 40-point games shooting above 60% from the field. And what actually shocks me more than his points per game or his 40-point games is his 3-point percentage, which is 36%. Ever since Jimmy Butler's been on the Heat, 3-point shooting has really been a struggle for Jimmy. He only shoots it at a 23% clip and not even taking a lot of attempts with only 2. But miraculously, this playoffs, it looks like Jimmy Butler saved his jump shot for the NBA postseason, because not only is he shooting a 3 ball at a respectable percentage, he's shooting it on a pretty good volume on 4.4 attempts. Now, some people might just say that Jimmy doesn't have enough sample size since he's only played 11 games so far, which is fair, but for the playoffs, we don't always need to have 15 or 20 plus games to really gauge if the player has gotten better in the playoffs. Furthermore, as I stated earlier, he's averaging 28.7 points on very good efficiency. And I believe because he's finally starting to make his jump shots on a consistent basis, it's widening up what Jimmy can do on the offensive end. Let's look at this play. Jimmy Butler gets a screen left from Bam, and as he's getting to the free throw line area, you can see DeAndre Jordan is in complete drop coverage, and Jimmy Butler rises for an easy 15-foot jump shot. Here, the court is completely spread out for Jimmy. He gets a screen from Max Strus. The 76ers instantly switch, and right here, I do believe Jimmy Butler recognizes that Joel Embiid is completely ready for Jimmy to start attacking right, and Jimmy Butler decides to actually spin left and shoots this weird floating type shot through the contact for the easy 2 points. On this play, Jimmy Butler is actually going to be the one to set the screen, and Danny Green is focused on stopping the initial threat, and Vincent And as Jimmy is slipping, Maxey is trying to recover, but he's already completely lagging behind the play. And Jimmy does his jump stop and throws up a floater for another 2 points. What's actually funny is that it's not only been scoring that just completely risen in the playoffs for Jimmy Butler. I would argue his playmaking damn near has just been as impressive as his scoring this postseason. Jimmy Butler this playoff so far is averaging 5.4 assists. And what's making this impressive is that the player they brought in to take over most of the playmaking responsibilities, and Kyle Lowry, has been unfortunately injured for majority of the playoffs. But despite that, Jimmy has been saddled with a lot of the scoring responsibility, and he's still playmaking at a reasonable high level for his team offense to still function in fluidity. Let me show you some plays to show you what I'm talking about. Right here, it looks like Jimmy's ready for Bam to set a screen, but instead decides to attack right, and John Collins is so focused on stopping Jimmy Butler's initial dribble penetration that he just leaves the roller here and Bam open, so Jimmy just throws a simple bounce pass for Bam Adebayo dunk. Here, Jimmy's getting a screen from Bam, and as you can see, the 76ers players are desperately trying to swipe at the ball here, and it eventually leads them to trying to double Jimmy in the corner. And then you can see James Harden is so preoccupied on staying on Bam, which leads to Butler throwing a sick bounce pass to PJ Tucker for another deuce. Again, he gets another screen from Bam, and here you can see Butler does a fake pass in Vincent and Struth's direction, which leads to Danny Green completely committed on it, and that leaves PJ Tucker for a wide open 3. And as you guys saw in most of those plays, majority of them were in sets where Jimmy was getting a screen and where he can initiate the pick and roll, was making the right plays almost every single time. And it's been like that all playoffs, where Jimmy Butler's getting pick and rolls and he's finding the roller on a consistent basis, being able to do dribble handoffs with either Struth or Vincent for a 3. Or when the defenses completely collapse on him in the pick and roll, he's still able to find PJ Tucker in the corner a lot during these playoffs, or whoever's in the corner for the easy triple. But back to scoring. Again, Jimmy Butler has been very dominant when he's attacking the basket and converting points in the paint. He's shooting 71.4% in the restricted area. And Jimmy Butler, as strong as he is, when he's attacking the basket sometimes, he has trouble finishing around the basket, where sometimes he just doesn't put enough power on his layups, or sometimes he just puts too much power on his layups and hits back off the rim. But luckily so far in these playoffs, it's actually converting it at a decent rate. He's actually converting most of his layups, and he's not missing a lot of dunks. He's only missed 2 so far in this entire playoffs. But that's enough of the offensive side of the ball, because that really has been a revelation for how great Jimmy Butler has been playing in the postseason. But getting to a little bit of detail on his defensive side of the ball, it's been spectacular. We know how great Jimmy Butler has been as a point of attack defender and how versatile he can be, but he's been very excellent in passing lanes through the playoffs. He's really anticipating the passes that can come his way and been playing it very well. Even though in the Hawks or the 76ers series, he really hasn't been tasked to be the primary defender on James Harden or Trae Young. That's mainly been PJ Tucker's assignment. But when he's been switched out onto them, or when he's been roaming off on a different defender, you've seen how much of a pest Jimmy's been making. He's been making the proper rotations, and overall he's just been an absolute menace on the defensive end. So I do believe that so far during these playoffs, I think it's safe to say that Jimmy Butler has been a top 3 player in these entire playoffs. And it is something to actually praise about, because just last year, people were writing off the Miami Heat for their disappointing playoff run that they had. And especially Jimmy Butler, who was getting a brunt of the blame, and started calling them just bubble frauds. So I'm really happy to see that people are starting to change their opinions and the narratives that they had about Jimmy Butler, because straight up, he's just shutting a lot of people's bad takes about him that's been flying out for a while now. And regardless if hypothetically the Miami Heat do lose to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, or maybe the Miami Heat do make the finals and unfortunately lose again, if Jimmy Butler's still playing at this high of a level and he just goes out there swinging and loses to just a team, the other team just playing better, I do believe some of us just has to come out of the closet and just be straight up honest and say that we were wrong about Jimmy Butler, that he can no longer be a legitimate #1 option for a title contending team. So that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below for everything I said about Jimmy Butler in this video, and let me know if maybe some of you guys believe that what Jimmy Butler is doing isn't sustainable and he just didn't play good enough competition so far in these playoffs. Just let me know all that in the comment section below. So without further ado, make sure you guys like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and for now, your boy Dream Hoops is out, man. Peace.